versus Shauna Snyder. English would go over here. Is there English?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Right away, you can already feel the awkward tension in this courtroom before anybody even gets into the actual dispute. This isn't some high-powered corporate lawsuit or dramatic criminal trial. This is the kind of messy family housing situation that judges see all the time. And honestly, those are sometimes the most explosive cases because emotion completely overrides logic. Judge Simpson is walking into a situation where nobody seems organized, everybody's frustrated, and there's clearly a history underneath the surfaces that hasn't even been unpacked yet. What makes this case interesting is that it starts as a simple termination of tenancy issue, but within minutes it turns into accusations of stalking, claims of abuse, family conflict, police, involvement, and emotional resentment stacked on top of each other. And you can already tell the judge is trying to figure out one thing. Is this really about housing, or is this about a family relationship that completely collapsed behind closed doors? That's the real tension driving this hearing.
Go down that side. Snyder?
Oh.
All right, come on. Yes, come on. You're over here, wait, just right there.
Over here.
Yeah, right there. All right, this is a termination of tenancy case, and folks, what's going on?
We moved her in because she was getting evicted from her other residence. Her husband moved out on her, and we allowed her to move in without no lot rent, no fees, and she come out one morning and started taking pictures of me, implied that I was stalking her. I feel uncomfortable with her being there.
Okay. All right. What's the relationship between the parties? Any?
She's the daughter or friend of my wife.
That's why we allowed her.
Hold on a second. Okay, so who are you?
I'm his wife. I'm also on lease. That's why we allowed her to move in. We're trying to help her out. She's been there 3 months.
Okay, hold on. Just
a physical altercation.
all right. So still trying to figure
It's
this
just
out.
a bad situation all the way around.
Okay, that's not what I was going to ask. Who is she related to?
She is my daughter.
Thank you. That's a simple answer I was looking for. All right. So your daughter moved in because you got evicted from your other residence. Is that correct, ma'am?
That's not correct.
Okay. So what happened?
Now, the entire tone of this hearing changes because the daughter immediately pushes back on the original narrative. Up until this point, it sounded like a straightforward, we helped her, and now we want her out situation. But now, allegations of abuse inside her marriage enter the courtroom, and suddenly Judge Simpson has to navigate a much more emotionally loaded scenario. Notice something important here, though. The judge doesn't get distracted emotionally. He keeps pulling the conversation back toward facts, timelines, and legal realities. That's exactly what experienced judges do. At the same time, you can see how this situation spiraled inside that household. The daughter says she felt uncomfortable, unsafe, watched, and unable to even relax in the home. Meanwhile, the homeowners feel accused and disrespected after helping her. This is the kind of case where everybody feels like the victim. And honestly, those are the hardest disputes to resolve because nobody walks into court willing to admit they contributed to the breakdown. Question for you guys watching: if you were the judge here, who are you believing at this point in the hearing?
I was living at another residence with my husband at the time, and he was abusive to me. So I had to separate from him, and then he left the house. He was being evicted. I wasn't on a lease at all. But I was going to put on there, and then they allowed me to come with them and stay for, I said it was just temporary. I just needed like a little temporary. I wasn't going to be there forever. and seemed to figure out,
what you're going to do.
yeah, because what I was going to do got messed up, you know, like with everything. And
Okay. And
he has been very inappropriate, the way he acts around me. I can't even take a shower in that house. I can't do laundry. I always have to have my phone because I don't feel comfortable.
okay.
And then she called the cops on me after that and said, "You're not locking my husband up, B word." I got that on recording. That day.
All right. So, but you don't have a lease there, correct?
No, I don't. I don't want to stay there either.
Okay.
You know that.
So, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
So when are you going to leave?
As soon as I can. I was thinking the 1st is probably the soonest I can.
Did you bring a lot of property with you?
I have a bunch of it in storage, and I have a bunch in that room in that house. And I have a dog and a cat, and they know that. It's really hard to find like a room to rent with pets, and they want $1,000 a month for a room.
I gotcha. So when do you folks want her out? Okay, that's not happening.
Yeah.
What's a reasonable time for her to get out of the premise from your perspective?
This is the moment where Judge Simpson finally pulls the case back into its actual legal lane. Up until now, the courtroom has basically become a family therapy session mixed with accusations and emotional frustration. But the judge knows something very important. Legally, this hearing is not about deciding who's morally right inside the family drama. It's about possession of the property and reasonable time to vacate. And watch how quickly the legal reality clashes with emotion here. The homeowners want her gone immediately because the living situation clearly deteriorated fast. But the law does not operate based on anger, discomfort, or frustration alone. Once you allow somebody to move in, especially with belongings, pets, and residency established, you create legal protections, whether you regret it later or not. That's why Judge Simpson immediately pushes back against the 7-day demand. He's signaling that emotions do not override tenancy law. And honestly, this is where a lot of people get shocked in these cases, because they assume, it's my house, so I can remove someone whenever I want. The law usually says otherwise.
7 days.
Okay. By law, she at least gets 10.
Okay, she get 10.
What's the attitude with this? I mean, you guys moved her in. You realize the circumstance, at least she's saying that she was in, and you got to give her time to move out. You let her move her stuff in.
We did, but we wasn't expecting for her to start calling me a stalker and all that. I feel uncomfortable with her in my house now.
What would be a reasonable period in your mind for her to move?
10 days.
Okay. You guys can maybe sit there and think about what you're doing. Whether you like family or not, you got to deal with it that way. You let her move in. So think about a reasonable time for her to get out. You've had to go through this. I don't want to hear from you right now because I'm going to get up and leave this bench because I'm not happy with any of you.
Are you speaking?
What did I just say? What did I just say?
Court's going to stand in recess.
All right. 1 minute, he wants you to speak.
You want to know what? You want to know what? You're going to be in contempt and you're going to go. You are not even a named party on this case. You might want to go out there and sit down. Go out there and sit down.
No.
Now.
No problem.
Now. Go. Just go. One more word and you're out of here. One more word.
Right out. No problem, ma'am. Hey, don't think you go, okay?
And there it is, complete courtroom meltdown territory. Judge Simpson has officially lost patience, and honestly, you can understand why. He gave multiple warnings, tried to calm everybody down, tried to keep control of the hearing, and somebody still kept talking over the court. One thing viewers sometimes underestimate is how seriously judges take courtroom authority. The second a hearing starts turning chaotic, the judge has to shut it down immediately, or the entire proceeding becomes impossible to manage. Notice how fast the tone shifts from calm mediation to direct contempt warnings. And the judge makes another important point here. The person interrupting wasn't even a named party in the case. That's a huge issue because courts run on procedure. If every family member starts arguing from the gallery, hearings become disasters instantly. Judge Simpson's frustration is also revealing something else. He clearly thinks this family conflict has gone way beyond the original housing dispute. At this stage, he's basically trying to stop the situation from escalating even further before somebody makes an already bad situation permanently worse.
We're back on the record in the case of English versus Snyder, and both parties are here. And I'm just going to try to resolve this because apparently the parties can't do it themselves. And I'm not going to try to use whatever water under the bridge. You're saying you want to the first?
Yes, please.
You are saying, sir, that you want a statutory times 10 days and you're stuck on the 10 days.
No, she can stay to the first, as long as she agrees to get out.
Okay. I appreciate that. All right. And that's a reasonable way to handle this. So what I'm going to do is a termination case. I'm going to grant a judgment for possession after hearing on this case. The writ date, July 1. Okay. Now, so they can act so that both parties understand this, okay? On July 1, they can file what's called an order of eviction or request for an order of eviction to have you forcibly removed from the premises. I don't think you want to put anybody into that.
No, I'm not even trying to get evicted. I don't have any evictions on my record.
Okay. You have to file with the court, sir, a judgment form, and you have to fill that out for my signature. Okay. So you can, I'll get you guys out of here. You can pick one up at the counter, file it with the court. I'll sign off on it. All right. That will give her until July 1 to vacate the premises. All right.
This is where Judge Simpson finally imposes structure on the chaos. He's granting judgment for possession, but he's also giving the daughter until July 1 to vacate, which is actually a major compromise considering how tense this hearing became. The judge is balancing two competing realities at once. On one side, the homeowners have a legal right to reclaim control over their property. On the other side, forcibly throwing someone out immediately, especially in a volatile family situation involving pets, storage, and unstable housing, could make everything dramatically worse. And this is why experienced judges focus so heavily on procedure. Notice how carefully Judge Simpson explains the next legal steps: paperwork, judgment forms, eviction orders, timelines. He wants zero ambiguity later, because once people leave court confused, that confusion usually turns into another conflict. Also, pay attention to the warning about self-help. That's the judge basically saying, do not try to intimidate, remove, threaten, or force her out before the legal date arrives. Courts absolutely hate that. Do you guys think the judge handled this fairly, or was he too lenient here?
Anybody unclear? All right.
I'm not.
You're clear.
I'm clear.
Okay. For you, sir, I'm going to tell you because what you don't want to do, and you may want to inform your wife of this, is to, in any way, prior to that date, try to do anything that looks like it's your own self-help in terms of getting her out. Okay?
Right.
Okay?
But she's still not allowed to have company over, right? She's in the past.
Okay, look, that's not before me.
Okay.
I can't. I do a lot to rule people's lives. I can't tell who's going to be. I'm not going there. Okay.
All right.
The only thing I can tell you is that as of that day, that's that. Okay. Now, I'll give a suggestion while I can't order it. Okay, young lady, how old are you?
I'm 31.
Okay. You can like your parents, you can not like your parents, you can not do whatever. But when things got bad, that was somebody that gave you a roof over your head. Okay. And so it doesn't mean you even have to talk to them. But I think it's sometimes important, and I think I'll call you a kid because you are somebody's kid, right?
Right.
That these days, sometimes they're just not respectful of that. So while I'm not ordering it, I just say to you, just be respectful.
What's fascinating here is that Judge Simpson slowly transitions from judge to almost a reluctant mediator. Legally, he already resolved the possession issue. Technically, the case could have ended there. But you can tell he recognizes this isn't just paperwork. This is a fractured family dynamic sitting in front of him. And honestly, these final moments might be the most human part of the entire hearing. He's trying to explain something a lot of people eventually learn the hard way. Family conflicts operate differently than ordinary legal disputes. Everybody remembers sacrifices differently. Parents think they opened their home during a crisis. The daughter feels rules changed and emotional safety disappeared. Both sides feel unheard. Judge Simpson isn't ordering reconciliation here. He's trying to prevent further destruction. And his advice about staying respectful and sometimes saying nothing at all? That's probably the smartest thing said in this courtroom all day. Because most family blowups don't happen from one gigantic moment. They happen from hundreds of smaller emotional reactions stacking on top of each other until nobody can communicate anymore.
They don't want you to
I'm trying to be, and like the whole time I've been there, follow all the rules. And they let me have one person over, only one person per company, and then they took it back after all that. They're like trying to.
Okay. Well, but I get it. But this, what you guys are telling me are what parents and kids have been dealing with forever, right? And so, when my daughter stays with me, I can tell you she's thinking I'm changing. I'm thinking to myself, that's what I said all along. But from her perspective, I'd let this happen and then I changed something. I didn't change anything in my view, but I get it. Okay. So, just do it and try to work through it. Okay.
I'm trying.
Okay. And the same thing for you. Just try to work through it. Sometimes it's better if all of a sudden at one given moment you want to say something, just don't say anything. Count to whatever. Just don't say anything. And then maybe 30 seconds down the road, you're not quite as unhappy about it. You just try to figure it out. Okay?
You say I got to get some kind of form?
Yeah, you got to get paperwork. Ask them for a judgment form.
Judgment?
At the front counter. All right. Then you just got to fill that out. Okay?
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. So I can trust that you two will walk out of here peacefully and not
I will not
go at it in the hallway. Huh?
No.
Either just can you two walk out peacefully, or do I have to have
With him.
do I have to have escorts?
Just
All right.
then
Then here you go. And you sit there. You sit there and then we'll get you out. Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
And that's how this incredibly tense tenancy dispute finally comes to a close. Judge Simpson ultimately grants possession, back to the homeowners, while also giving the daughter until July 1 to leave the property legally and peacefully. But what really stands out in this hearing is how quickly a temporary living arrangement turned into a courtroom battle fueled by distrust, resentment, and emotional exhaustion. Throughout the case, the judge repeatedly tried to separate legal reality from emotional frustration, and that's not easy when family dynamics are involved. He enforced the law, shut down courtroom disruptions when necessary, warned against illegal self-help eviction tactics, and still attempted to leave both sides with practical advice instead of just punishment. In the end, nobody really wins these kinds of cases. The relationship damage is usually much bigger than the legal ruling itself. But Judge Simpson clearly wanted this family walking out with less chaos than they walked in with. If you found this case as shocking as we did, make sure to hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more jaw-dropping courtroom breakdowns.